Sourabh Gupta is a senior Asia-Pacific Relations Policy Specialist at the Institute for China-America Studies, and I asked him if he views these new sanctions against China as more substantial or symbolic.
It's more than symbolic. It's not just a symbolic sanction, but at the same time, I would say that it's not really going to hurt at the Chinese end or at the Russian end, because many of these companies don't have particular American or US or dollar-based links. So to that extent, there is an element of tokenism to it.
But what does this do to the relationship between the United States and China with everything else that is going on and all the other issues that they seem to be working through right now?
Well, it's absolutely not appreciated at the Chinese end, especially because what they call long-arm jurisdiction. Over the last 10 years, we have seen the US government, the Treasury particularly, having these sort of sanctions which are not UN authorized sanctions. These are over and above UN authority, and these are third country sanctions which don't even sanction that particular country which is under sanctions. It is against parties which do trade with those countries. This sets very poor precedents, and for a long time, China and Russia and other countries have specifically objected to it. So this obviously hurts the ability down the line for the US and China to sit down and cooperate, because these hurt trust and these hurt cooperation in dealing with many of these issues, which are reaching a stage of danger, frankly.
When you look at these countries, how long will it take before they start to feel the effect of these sanctions? Do they have any recourse at all?
First of all, with regard to recourse, there is no appeal mechanism. So if the company is sanctioned, unless it can show that there's been a grievous violation or an injustice committed, it should have been another company by the same name, etc., etc. There is no recourse to that. That having been said, sanctions will hurt in two instances only: if there is a UN resolution, and if, of course, these countries depend on dollar-denominated trade. So if these sanctions, and only a limited amount of what is being sanctioned corresponds to those UN sanctions or complements those UN sanctions, most of these are just extraterritorial sanctions, they will not be observed and they will not have the intended effect either.
So what message is the United States trying to send by doing this? Is this just some sort of pressure tactic?
It is a pressure tactic. It is telling China that the heat is on. We are not withdrawing that. Look, we can do secondary sanctions against your entities. Apart from just sanctioning North Korean entities, we could ratchet these up. At this point of time, these are smaller companies, but this could be extended to bigger companies. Particularly, it could be extended to bigger banks, like the main state-owned banks, which do a lot of dollar-denominated transactions also. So this is a pressure tactic, but this pressure tactic has been played before. It has not been appreciated, and at the end of the day, it really hasn't had the effect. And to the extent that these sanctions are over and above UN sanctions, just irritates people and hurts the very cooperation that the US seeks.